Om Shiv Chidambaram. Today I wish to speak on a question that I constantly get asked. So I thought instead of having to individually answer the people asking, I just make a small interesting video on it. And that question is, why is the cow held as the sacred animal for Hindus? Yeah, why can the cow not be slaughtered? Why is the cow not eaten? So, a simple answer to that is, why should not an animal be regarded as sacred or taboo? Taboo was actually quite a well-known spiritual concept. It is today. Now, in a monotheistic world where all living things are held to be at the disposal of human beings, that taboos have fallen, or there is a taboo against consuming because something is unclean, but does not seem to be any taboo against consuming because something is sacred. So the question itself comes from faulty premises, but okay, it's a valid question, especially in a time when beef eating is now being weaponized as a deliberate affront and insult, and if possible humiliation to Hindus. So perhaps it is good for us to know why we regard the cow as sacred and why it must never be killed. Now, many so-called over-smart progressive people will point out that in the past it used to be consumed, and they are not wrong. There is enough evidence for that. But the times have changed and the religion has evolved, and today it is a complete and absolute taboo. And any Hindu who argues in favor of consuming cow is essentially a mlecha. So the usual arguments is that the cow was economically valuable. This is the normal argument given. But I would say that Hindus never do anything purely for economic reasons. There always has to be a compelling spiritual, yogic reason, adhyatmik reason, and then we take something on board. A purely economic argument falls flat. So the economic argument always used to be that the cow was valuable, the wealth was counted in number of cows, the cow products were used for everything, so, and even Krishna was a herder of cows, and so there is some merit to that. Cows indeed were a measure of wealth. If you remember in the Mahabharata, when the Kauravas are trying to force the Pandavas out of Adhyatwas, out of the year of hidden exile, they steal the cows of the Virat Naresh. Yeah, they actually so the great Kauravas with mighty warriors Kripacharya, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Duryodhana, Ashwatthama, they are cattle wrestlers. So there is an argument that the aghanya, the never to be slaughtered, never to be consumed, never to be eaten, came up because of the economic wealth, and that was the only way to preserve it. But that is not, to me, a very convincing argument, because that means if it is no longer the measure of wealth, therefore it is okay. And many people have argued. Many people have indeed argued, including, you will be surprised to know, Veera Savarkar, that the cow is a useful animal, not a sacred animal, and our prejudice against killing it has not served us well, because Muslim armies knew, once they discovered that the Hindus are reluctant to kill a cow, they would put cows in front, and then the Hindus would not move forward and they would be flanked and they would be destroyed. This was apparently a very common tactic. Now, I was reading a history of Martanda Varma, who was the founder of the Travancore princely state, and his opponents used to put Brahmins in the front row. The same tactic, because nobody wanted to do Brahmin Hatya, and so he was forced to respond by putting fishermen, because contact with the fishermen would pollute the Brahmin, cause it would lose caste, or even hire Christian and Muslim mercenaries. So yeah, Savarkar had this pretty harsh criticisms of what he regarded as untoward sentimentality. Now, I am a person who has unmitigated admiration for Savarkar. I hold him in the highest esteem. But Savarkar was an atheist, and the opinions of an atheist do not count when it comes to adhyatmik matters. And the reason why we are so against killing cows is purely spiritual. There are two reasons actually. And Savarkar did not seem to know either of them, which surprises me, but because he was a very learned Hindu. But like I said, since he was a pragmatic, he was a social reformer, pragmatist, but he was fundamentally, he was not an adhyatmik, he was a nastika type. So he had this very strange opinion, which was contrary to everything else. But that is okay. All great people have limitations in some sense. It does not reduce my respect and even reverence for Savarkar in any way that in this one particular matter he was wrong. I even hold that Vivekananda was wrong in some matters and Aurobindo was wrong in some matters. It doesn't matter to me. My reverence for them is still the same. So the two reasons why the cow was deemed never to be killed and why it was deemed to be a great sin. The first is a karmic reason. Both are karmic reasons, but the first is even more deeply a karmic reason. And that was the yogis, the rishis found in their meditation that it is believed that you need to go through 18 lakh yonis, 18 lakh wombs before you come to incarnate as a human being. And from what the rishis understood from their meditations, they learnt that the cow is the last animal birth. Once an animal is born as a cow, then after that the karma makes it into a human being. So by killing a cow, you are preventing the evolution of a soul. You are preventing the transformation of a soul to humanity, to manava, and that is regarded as a very, very, very grave sin against Prakriti. It is regarded as a very great violation of dharma. So this was actually the core reason. This was actually the original reason. Then there was a supplementary reason, and that supplementary reason was that the cow in the yogic sense is regarded as the most sattvic animal. You will find representations of the cow with multiple devtas in its body. Every part of the body of the cow is associated with a devta. So that is because the cow is regarded as the most sattvic animal, and that is true. The cow is indeed the most sattvic animal. Now again, when we say sacred cow, we mean Bos indicus, the Indian cow. All cows are not sacred. It is the Bos indicus, the Indian cow, that is sacred. So people in other parts of the country consume other breeds of cow, that is okay. We are asking that you don't consume the sacred cow that is ours. The supplementary reason, as I said, is that again the yogis discovered that when it comes to love, the cow is the most loving creature in existence. There is no creature that loves the way a cow loves, and therefore to kill that is in a sense literally like killing your own mother. Now today we have become urbanized. Most of us do not grow up around cows. And there was a time when if you had even a little bit of resources and a little bit of land outside your house, you always had a cow. And so older generations know the deep and abiding love that a cow gives to the family. I am now 60. When I was young, I remember living in houses with the cow, and it used to fascinate me like this creature is so extraordinary in how much it cares, in how it shows love, and that is why if you call a lady a cow in the Western, that's an insult. It means they are overweight and they're stupid. But in India, it was regarded no longer, but it was regarded once as the highest compliment when marriages were being arranged, rishtas were being, कि हमारी लड़की तो गाय है, गाय, meaning that, the girl was so kind and graceful and loving and placid. And, because I have seen, with my own eyes, I have seen that when the baby of the house comes near, the cow would start secreting milk. That is how instinctively loving the animal is. And that is something remarkable, because it is not even its own calf. It is what it regards as the calf of the owner, and it makes no differentiation. I have seen the children of the family go to graze the cow and come back home in the evening sleeping on the animal, and it patiently bears the children. While they're grazing, it carries on its back and comes back and is sleeping. It's like, and I have also seen the cow, if you try to maltreat its calf, the way it attacks you. It's like you've heard of mad bull, but you really haven't seen anger until you've seen a cow mad because people have tried to attack its calf, and then you really realize what wrath is. Radra Rupam, you realize only. So in all those qualities, the cow is regarded as divine, because these are all the qualities of a Devta. And I recently saw a video of one guy who, for no reason other than malice, was torturing the calf, and the cow got hold of him, and then it chased him, ran him over, and was trampling him, and people were wailing on it with sticks. And after some time, the pain got a little unbearable and it backed away. Then they thought it was over and they moved away, and she went right back to attacking. I mean, there are so many odd things, and this feeling of love that comes from a cow, it is something that if you have the slightest yogic sensibility, it is unmistakable. You can instantly feel it. It comes at you in waves. A few years back in the Chidambaram Gaushala, there was a newborn calf. We went to see it. We were all petting it, and the calf was, of course, very happy that it is being caressed and fondled, and everybody is cooing over it. But the mother's reaction was what stunned me, because I have a little bit sensitivity in these matters, and the waves of love and happiness pouring towards us. And many people, I'm not going to say what kind of, but many people have healed themselves of trauma, healed themselves of serious illnesses by doing Gau Seva in Gaushalas. Now, this is not medical advice, please do not take, but I have seen what can only be considered as miracles, because the person decided that, yeah, okay, I've got a sentence of pretty bad medical development, and I'm going to spend the next few months doing seva to the Gau Mata before I have to go permanently. And this guy went back. This I know personally. I've seen the guy went back, and the doctor said, "What happened? Your disease has disappeared." Again, not medical advice. Do not. But people who have lived around cows, they tell you all sorts of stories. They tell you all sorts of stories about how loving the animal is and how things change around them. I have seen a house where the cows would give milk, and the day their owner died, they stopped. Even though they no longer have calf, they would continue to give milk. The day the owner died, that day they stopped. One of my disciples told me about how her grandmother used to have cows and then she became too old to take care of them. So they when she wanted to put them to a gaushala, they refused to go, and she had to do Shashtang Namaskar in front of them and say, it's not that because I don't love you, it's because I'm too frail and too old to take care of you. Please go where you will be cared for. So that is how sensitive and how loyal they are. So we also believe, the Hindus believe, that to kill an animal who is of such a sattvic nature, of such a loving, compassionate nature, and an animal who simply will not put up with injustice, we believe that is also a great sin. So that is actually the real reason why the yogis of India impose that position, the rishis of India impose that position, that the cow under any circumstances not to be killed. There are karmic reasons why you don't kill snakes. If you kill snakes, you're asking for a lot of trouble. If you kill frogs, again you're asking for a lot of trouble. But those are other, deeper, darker karmic reasons. The cow alone is for a purely positive punya karma. The cow is regarded as under no circumstance to be touched, because if you can do that, then you have somehow fallen as a human being. You have regressed as a human being. If you can harm a being of such purity, then you have regressed as a human being. So that is the real reason. And I know this will not convince those who do not believe in such things. I do not care. I am speaking to those who have some yogic sensibility, who have some mystical sensibility, and they would understand this immediately. We hear of horse whisperers and things like that. It's not like the cow is the only animal. People have kept pet tigers and lions. They all love you. Your horse loves you. Your elephant loves you. Even your buffalo loves you. But yogis have long understood, and it has been, that there is no animal which gives love the way the cow gives. And also then there is the part about it is a potential human soul, and therefore we cannot interfere with that. So that is the reason why the cow is sacred for Hindus. Sarvam Shivam.